At the beginning of 2023, I released a video titled Every Upcoming MMORPG in 2023 and Beyond. This video contained 34 MMOs, some of which are already looking like massive disappointments, others which got delayed, and others that were teased but with very little info in regards to release date or actual gameplay. Thankfully, that video is quickly becoming out of date, as so far in 2023, we've already had quite a few newly announced MMOs, two of which I've covered previously on the channel with the Quinfall and Pax Dei. Well, since then, I'm happy to report that there's been even more new MMO announcements, and each of them look anywhere between average to potentially decent, and by MMO standards, that's probably the best we can ask for. Speaking of RPGs, Watcher of Realms is a next-gen fantasy RPG where you can explore the mystical continent of Tia. It has breathtaking visuals, a rich gameplay experience, over 100 unique heroes, and all the hack and slash carnage you can handle. To save this chaotic land, you take on the role of a tactical commander, build your camp, collect and manage heroes, unlock powerful faction lords, explore a variety of chapters, levels and dungeon maps, and finally challenge the evil ancient gods. Watch as the 3D models of heroes come to life with top-tier motion and facial capture technologies that ensure your heroes are vivid and lifelike. Every hero is worth upgrading by collecting gear, artifacts and skill dust to flesh out your heroes however you see fit. If you want more than just the storyline, you can engage in PvP modes like tower defense to showcase your skills and climb the player rankings. You can also team up with your guilds to take on the Dragon and compete for the top of the guild leaderboard. Tune into the game's exciting launch event featuring the Game Theorist and Jay Schlatt in a head-to-head competition. Choose the team you support and participate in the competition for a chance to win iPhones, Nintendo Switches and more. The event link can be found in the description, along with the download link for Watcher of Realms, or you can scan the QR code on screen. Either way, the realm is waiting for you. First up, let's talk about the newly announced MMO that I'm the most excited about. The trailer for this game looked absolutely incredible, but as we've learned from games like Throne and Liberty recently, a good trailer doesn't mean a good game, so always have a healthy amount of skepticism. Chrono Odyssey will be an Unreal Engine 5 MMO, and based on the trailer looks like it has an action combat system, giant world boss fights, traditional MMO classes like Berserker, Ranger, Mage, Warrior and Rogue, as well as a unique theme that includes time travel to different eras of time. When it comes to platforms, it seems like Chrono Odyssey will be available on PC, PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series XS. No mention of mobile yet, so hopefully it stays that way. As of right now, no official release date, but the trailer did appear to show actual gameplay, and the game was initially announced back in 2020, so it's been in the works for a few years now at least. Watching the footage of Chrono Odyssey, I'm kinda getting BDO vibes, but perhaps with a more dark, gritty theme, and gameplay that seems to be a bit more rooted. Definitely excited to see more of this game, and the enemies showcased in this trailer look super unique, especially this giant alien dragon thing. Taris Land is an interesting one. Before 2023 I can't find any mention of this game. It was announced in January 2023 and already has had multiple testing phases, with the game actually looking pretty much finished. Taris Land is basically China's answer to World of Warcraft, and straight away it's not hard to see the inspiration. This game's being developed by Tencent and is slated for a 2023 release. I know what you're thinking. Chinese MMO, Tencent, probably pay to win, and yeah, that was my initial reaction too. However, if you go to the game's website, it literally says, "Say no to pay to win." Now, I don't know if this is a marketing strategy and the game will just bait and switch later on, but this was surprising for me to see. What makes this even more surprising is that Taris Land is being developed with full crossplay between PC and mobile, so if their statement about no pay to win is actually legit, it would be one of the few non-pay to win mobile games out there, which I somehow doubt. Skepticism aside, you'd think that an MMO made with crossplay for mobile would have like 4 or 5 abilities, super simple combat that roots you in place, basically be an autoplay fiesta, but it doesn't actually appear to be that way. Looking at the gameplay of Taris Land, it actually looks somewhat decent, not mind-blowing but quite polished and smooth. The game uses a tab targeting combat system, you can put up to 11 abilities on your hotbar, the UI looks relatively clean, and on the surface it really does just look like a solid attempt at a modern WoW clone. Taris Land features PvE raids with various levels of difficulty and affixes, dungeons, world bosses, PvP battlegrounds, traditional questing, and a massive open world with no autopathing. It's basically trying to be the replacement for World of Warcraft in China, since WoW is no longer available to play in that region. The one unique thing about Taris Land that World of Warcraft doesn't have is that this MMO will have seasons, which sound similar to seasons in ARPGs like Diablo and Path of Exile. Not many MMOs do this, so it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. The game will also use a holy trinity, and classes include the Ranger, Paladin, Warrior, Mage, Priest, Bard, and Berserker. Unfortunately, I wasn't invited to the recent beta test of Taris Land, so I can't give any personal opinions about the game, other than I'm excited to try it. It looks like a solid 5 out of 10 MMO. Even though the UI is clean and the graphics are modern stylized, there's something about the aesthetic of the game that looks soulless to me, like it lacks personality. Either way, this is looking like an MMO that will definitely be releasing in 2023, and a few months ago we didn't even know it existed, so I'll take that as a W, even if it's just 1 or 2 weeks worth of content. Now, whilst Pallia is an MMORPG that was initially announced in 2021, we hadn't really heard much about the game or had any word of an official release until a few days ago. The Pallia team dropped an official beta release trailer that states the game will be going into full open beta from August the 10th onwards. So once again, this is another MMORPG releasing in 2023 that at the start of the year we didn't have too much info on. So what is Pallia? Pallia is basically Stardew Valley, but in third person, but also an MMORPG, and it's made by ex-Blizzard devs. So in this game you'll build your own house, decorate it with furniture, socialise, hunt animals, mine rocks, chop trees, and go fishing. Basically the perfect social, chill game to play with a spouse, and potentially a good gateway into MMOs for people who aren't massive gamers, or people that don't have a lot of time. I actually think this game could be massively popular, as the target audience for it is quite large. I just hope that despite the lack of combat focus, there's still a lot of goals and long-term progression that players can work towards. Either way, a cozy looking MMO that I'm excited to try. Perfect New World is another MMORPG that's clearly been in secret development for a few years, as this game was first unveiled in March 2023 with an impressive Steam trailer showing off a lot of gameplay, and shortly after had a closed beta test. One thing I'm unsure of with this game is if it's in the same universe as Perfect World International, or if it's a completely different game that just has a weird name combining 2 other well-known MMOs. Based on the trailer anyway, I'm gonna say that this isn't a successor to Perfect World International, because the characters don't have wings and the theme seems a lot different. When it comes to the gameplay, I thought the action combat shown in the official trailer, along with the visuals, were very impressive. It looks fluid, fast-paced and impactful, but once again you've got to be skeptical with everything that's shown in trailers. Another thing that stood out for me when I saw the trailer for this game was the game seemingly having some rather interesting environments, some of which I've never seen before in an MMO. Realistically though, as much as Perfect New World is a game that I'll be covering on my channel, my expectations aren't super high. I've played enough Chinese MMOs that look similar to this to know that they look good visually, but playing them is typically a different story. Usually, Chinese MMOs are heavily pay to win, auto-pathing all over the place, extremely buggy, jittery and lack polish, as well as being quite heavily instanced. I've never really played a good Chinese MMO before. Perhaps Moonlight Blade was the best one I've played, and that one didn't even come to the West. Perfect New World does look like a game that's releasing relatively soon though on Steam. Either late 2023 or early 2024 would be my guess. And whilst my expectations for the game are low, especially after seeing some of the full UI gameplay from the recent beta test, it's at least potentially a few days to a week worth of new MMO content. So this one might sound familiar, but Amazon Game Studios are working on a new Lord of the Rings MMORPG. Now this isn't the first time that I've uttered those words, as all the way back in 2018 it was announced that Amazon was working on a Lord of the Rings MMO, but that one got cancelled. This one, however, seems to be taking a different direction. It will be an open world MMO that features stories from The Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings trilogy. This is in contrast to the previous Lord of the Rings MMO Amazon was working on, which was said to be set before the events in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Other than that, nothing much is really known known about this game. Personally, I'm not too sure how I feel about them retelling already existing stories. I think there's potential for not doing the original stories justice, or trying to change things that would potentially piss off fans. Either way, the game's probably many years away from being playable, but I'm happy there's a new upcoming MMO that'll be set in the Lord of the Rings universe. But that's pretty much it for this video. It's been quite a good year so far when it comes to new MMORPG announcements, and it's starting to feel like the next gen of MMOs are soon upon us. Sure, Throne and Liberty looks like it's going to be garbage, but just to list a few, I'm now excited for Ashes of Creation, the Riot MMO, Pax Dei, Arcade 2, Chrono Odyssey, Taris Land looks like it could be fun for a few weeks, Soulframe looks quite cool, as does the Quinfall, and who knows what other MMOs are chugging along in secret development. Hold tight friends, give it another 2 years and the MMO genre will be absolutely popping off. Or all of those games turn out to get cancelled or be paid to win garbage, and I need to find a new career to pursue. If you enjoy these kind of update videos, help us out with a like for the algorithm gods. Social media on screen. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.